Love's for beginners, ain't no winners. It slips through your fingers. I ain't telling no lies. So F all the drama, F the karma. Just do what you wanna. Promise you got time. Be you and keep looking forward. Don't you look backwards and you'll be fine. Come through and say what you need to. Don't let them put you down. Baby, let me tell you what it feels like. Being independent, no trouble inside. It's like magic, living like a bad bitch. 'Cause baby, you deserve the best in life. Let me tell you what it feels like. Being no mama, yeah, to yourself right. It's like magic, living like a bad bitch. 'Cause baby, you deserve the best in life. Come get your future. Know you wanna, she'll never betray ya. She ain't telling no lies. So break the glass ceiling, find your meaning, make truth out of dreaming. Yeah. Baby, let me tell you what it feels like. Being independent, no trouble inside. It's like magic, living like a bad bitch. 'Cause baby, you deserve the best in life. Let me tell you what it feels like. Being no mama, yeah, to yourself right. It's like magic, living like a bad bitch. 'Cause baby, you deserve the best in life. Be you and keep looking forward. Don't you look backwards and you'll be fine. Come through and say what you need to. Don't let them put you down. Baby, let me tell you what it feels like. Being independent, no trouble inside. It's like magic, living like a bad bitch. 'Cause baby, you deserve the best in life. Let me tell you what it feels like. Being no mama, yeah, to yourself right. It's like magic, living like a bad bitch. 'Cause baby, you deserve the best in life.
Question: did you get a chance to meet with the royal family? And if not, how was it like having them there in the building?
Jesus, Mary, and Joseph?
The Prince and Princess of Wales.
Oh, no, I did not. I'm only familiar with one royal family. I don't know too much about that one.
Happy Friday, everyone. How is everyone doing today? Hope you're all doing well. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe, please, if you are not subscribed. Apparently, according to Google Analytics, and Google Analytics does not lie, half of you who are listening aren't subscribed. That's what it shows me. So please do hit that subscribe button. Hope you're all doing well anyway. And my gosh, what a week. What an explosive week. I guess I always imagined that it would be, obviously. But the Sussexes always surprise us, and the tabloid press never really surprises us. But I think they went so far this week that it was beyond anything we've ever seen. didn't see siding with the Taliban coming. That was a shock to me. I mean, I thought maybe we'd get Saudi earrings again, but siding with the Taliban? Oh, wouldn't have guessed that. Here's a link to join the live chat. Let me just post it again. If you want to come up on the stage. And Sarah Caraway, I can see you waiting there in the background. Thank you so much for coming in. And let's see who's here. Joining from Rome, as always, Robert Collins. Oh, I'd love to come back to Rome, but it's just not on the list this year. But with the timings with our podcast, guys, listen, all the different squaddy podcasters, we all have our own lives. So, you know, we will always try and come on, you know, like separate from each other where we can, but it just really depends on what we're doing that day. Like right now, guys, I'm trying to finish a book. So I just have to schedule whenever I have the energy. And I'm sure Baron and all the others, you know, have things going on as well. So I'm sorry if we do clash or if sometimes we're too close to each other. It's just really like a matter of what we have going on that day. But like I always say, don't feel pressured to watch all of our podcasts. You know, just watch who you can when you can, you know. But I'm sorry, like we just do the best that we can not to clash, but it's gonna happen every now and again. Benjamin, anyone hear that interview with Megan's bodyguard? I've seen that going around, but I haven't actually stopped to watch it. But I heard he said nice things about her. Benjamin, can they possibly make a movie out of the amount of sheer interest in that book? They absolutely can. Whether or not Harry's gonna sell the direct rights is another thing. I'm sure, you know, Hallmark will be making one of their crappy versions, their budget versions, very soon, now that we've actually got Harry's words. But yes, I think, I don't know, I think now might be too soon to make a movie. I think maybe years down the line. I think we've got many other things to focus on right now also, that I don't feel like we need a movie for the book right now. Like the book speaks for itself and the book has gone global. Like in almost every country it's going to #1. I saw something about in Luxembourg they have to print more. And Luxembourg is like a tiny country. Julia, you said my book hasn't arrived yet and I saw it at a bookstore today. Almost bought it, wish I had now. Yeah, even with Megan's The Bench, I just went to the shop the first thing in the morning. I tried to see hi, and I watched you strolling in Portugal, beautiful country. Good to see you look happy. Yes. Oh, let me tell you, I am. It's like a weight is off my shoulders. There's just a lot that's gone on in the last couple of years in the UK that I feel like I do have like some low level trauma, and I just feel so free and happy here. And I know that I'm making the right choice to just move on and travel for a little bit and then eventually settle where I want to settle. And that, funnily enough, and I think this is like just a sign from God. I'm not going to say like where I'm going to settle permanently yet, but the country that I do want to settle just introduced the most amazing visa for people like me. So I think it's a sign from God, and I'm just so grateful that I have this opportunity to actually start life afresh somewhere else that serves me and my mental health better, because I know not everybody has that opportunity. Happy Friday, everyone who's just coming in. All right, do you know what? I feel like I'm gonna let you all. Okay, I'll do like the small stories, and then we'll get on to the big one because literally just in the last couple of hours, Harry has released an interview that he did with the Telegraph. And oh, some of the things that he says in that interview, my head exploded. Like, y'all, Harry isn't holding back anymore. He is not holding back. Like, wow. But okay, let me get on to the smaller stories, and then I'll let you come on, and then we will read the Telegraph interview because it's really amazing. Right, I've seen a lot of this. Oh, and these are all pictures, by the way, of squaddies posting their copies of Spare. Someone's cat there keeping a guard, making sure the ranger doesn't steal it and throw it in the fire. But a lot of this going around, there was a lady called Lucy Rees, who's a PR executive. She said the amount of people at Heathrow reading Spare is unreal. I've seen so many tweets like this. People saying, I'm on the train, I'm on the bus, the two people across me, a woman and a man, are reading Spare. And, you know, there was never any situation where this book was not going to be big. It's Diana's son. And when I say Diana's son, like Diana's son, the one who we really claim as Diana's son, right? There was never any situation where this wasn't going to be a bestseller. And everybody wants to hear. Everybody wants to hear what Harry has to say. Even people who don't like him. I'm sure there's so many people that feel some kind of way about Harry that still bought this book. And it is now official, Guinness World Record official, fastest selling non-fiction book of all time. There it is, in the history books, for the history books, and it will speak for itself in years to come, centuries to come. Also, I saw this funny tweet. The BBC have branded Prince Harry's new memoir, Spare, the weirdest book ever written by a royal, which is a great excuse to tell you that in 1597, King James VII was at 6, and first published the De Monologi, a book on necromancy, black magic, and how to find, test, and punish witches. Yeah, that's what Harry's ancestors were writing about. One of the funny things about in Harry's book, actually, is he does talk about the fact that he really doesn't know a lot about his ancestors, like like King Henry the Who, and his teacher at school used to tell him off about it, like, how do you not know about your ancestors? And he said, well, he doesn't, but they wanted Meghan to know about every fork and spoon and curtsy and this, that, and the third and the twirl and the backflips that these people do. Like, the prince doesn't even know about his ancestors. Wild. Anyway, in Canada, it's also the fastest selling non-fiction book, according to Indigo, which is one of Canada's big retailers. Following on from something I mentioned yesterday, so there's this guy called, let me get his name actually. Let me pull up his Wikipedia profile. Yes, Lebedev. This guy. So he owns a stake in the Independent. Him and his father. His father was a former KGB Russian officer. And there he is with William. Yesterday I had a picture of him, but that was just with Rupert Murdoch. But apparently he's been rubbing shoulders quite frequently with William. And let me just read out his wiki page, because this is actually just shocking to me, especially as a British citizen. I didn't know about this. So Evgeny Lebedev. Right. Now that I've got my tongue in a twist. He is a Russian-British businessman who owns Lebedev Holdings, which in turn owns the Evening Standard, London Live, and he's also an investor in the Independent. And also the editor, just a reminder that why this is relevant, sorry. The editor of the Independent is an ex-editor of the Daily Mail. So the Independent, in just like the last few weeks, has gone super anti-Harry and Meghan. But he derives his wealth from his father, Alexander, a Russian oligarch and former KGB officer who was put on Canada's sanction list following the 2020 Russian invasion of Ukraine. In July 2020, he was nominated for a life peerage by British Prime Minister Boris Johnson for philanthropy and services to the media. a move that drew criticism. The Sunday Times alleged that British security services warned that granting him a peerage posed a national security risk, but Johnson went ahead with it despite the security service assessment. Boris Johnson said that the article was simply incorrect and that he stated that Lebedev has stated that he's not a security risk and his family has a record of standing up for press freedom in Russia. Lebedev has sat in the House of Lords as a crossbench life peer, so he's got a life peerage since the 19th of November 2020. This is who William's rubbing shoulders with, and that is quite concerning. Right, I'll go to your comments before we continue. Oh, thank you so much, Lottie, for the super sticker. Thank you so much, much appreciated. What did Harry say in the Telegraph interview? Oh, we're going to get there. Oh, yeah. Try Five Girls. He used the word misogynoir. He's done a hell of a lot of things. Oh, thanks so much, Alan Vernon. Oh, God, I have to scroll up to see what super chats I've missed. Duchess, you are always my favorite. Want to watch your live show. Rest can wait. Oh, thank you so much, Alan. I feel like we're all special in our own ways. So don't feel, pressured to watch everyone. Thank you so much, Alan. Yeah, BBC are so corrupted. Lavender, you said you picked up a spare at Indigo Bookstore on Tuesday in person. Books were on full glory display as you entered the store. Amazing. Marilyn, I don't think his ancestors impress him any. I mean, very interesting ancestors to have. This one was beheading wives. The other one had 8 wives. Interesting relatives. Okay. Jalen Sims, this is super sketchy. It is indeed. Jessica, I think the British press should be barred from the Invictus Games campus. There's probably one or two like indie journalists they'll allow in, but obviously like the mainstream press pack, no. Trader CC, you said, if you ever listen to Jonathan Pye, he will break down in detail of how London is in the pocket of these oligarchs. Both William is deeply entrenched into this power world, just like his father, yes. Practicing getting those cash money bags already. Hey, Lightside, thanks for joining. Okay, on to the next thing. Okay, do you know what? I'm just going to read the Telegraph article and then we can get to call-ins. Because then I think what you have to say will be even more interesting. So, this is Harry's exclusive for the Telegraph. Camilla Tominey must be crying somewhere that she didn't get the exclusive. He gave it to Bryony Gordon. This is not about trying to collapse the monarchy. This is about trying to save them from themselves. Right, it's a long article, okay? It's a long article, but we're going to go through it slowly. Oh, deep breaths. Here we go. Got it somewhere. Just hang on a sec, folks. Okay, I'll post the link if you want to follow along while I'm reading. Here we go. Right. Montecito is on mudslide alert. Its residents nervously awaiting an evacuation order. I wake up on the morning of my meeting with Prince Harry to a media storm. His book, Spare, has found its way into Spanish shops almost a week before publication, and a meteorological storm. This normally bone-dry part of Southern California being battered by rain. Both schools are doing a good job of reminding me that. While you might be able to run 5,000 miles from the source of your pain, you can rarely escape from it. When I finally reach Montecito's most famous resident, and possibly right now, the world's, he is nonplussed about the weather, which some have described as biblical, but I might describe as well British. Prince Harry tells me that the day before I arrived, he put on his waterproofs and headed down to the beach in the pouring rain with his dog, Pula, ignoring all offers of an umbrella from those around him. I don't tell him that I already know this, having seen pictures of said outing on a website that morning. And yet, even with the threat of mudslides, Duke of Sussex clearly feels safer here in his Montecito home than he ever did in the royal palaces where he grew up. You could hardly blame him. The house is a sanctuary, surrounded by acres of greenery, complete with chickens, a play area, and a teepee so lovely that I find myself jokingly asking if I can move into it. I am taken to a finca-style guest house where I find a generous spread alongside upteen types of tea, served, of course, in the finest china. Soft music tinkles in the background, candles flicker. It would all feel very relaxing were it not for the fact it is only a matter of hours since the book somehow leaked to the Guardian newspaper and went on sale early at a chain of Spanish bookshops. Can I just say, first of all, how nice this woman's writing is? Her and Harry do actually have a professional working history. Oh wait, just hang on one sec, guys. I just have to take care of something. One sec, sorry. Okay, sorry about that. Right, where was I? Okay. There is some amusement from Harry about how the passages on his frostnip penis might have come into translation, but mostly he is sad and disappointed that the general public's first encounter with the content to spare will come not through reading the book itself, but via newspaper headlines. But you know what? I feel like even if the book had come out without all the leaks, they would have manipulated it with salacious headlines anyway. And if anything, in the end, I feel like it's just helped with the book sales. So, silver lining. In the book, he describes those who work on Fleet Street as a dreadful mob of dweebs and crones and cut-rate criminals and clinically diagnosable sadists. Oh my, oh my, oh my. Oh, sorry, guys, I just missed where I was reading. Okay, and that's the more polite stuff. Am I mad to be speaking to him on the day that many of my colleagues are ripping him to shreds, especially knowing, as I do, that he has killed 25 members of the Taliban while on a tour of duty in Afghanistan? But the moment he walks through the door, a trail of dogs in his wake, I am reminded of his warmth and down to earth humour. Today, he is dressed in the TK Maxx uniform of t shirt and jeans that he writes about in Spare. He welcomes me with a hug and rushes to make the tea. He is bright eyed, looking far happier and healthier than when I last saw him at Buckingham Palace in early 2020 on his final days as a working member of the royal family. He seems relaxed, more free. The nerves he had during our first interview back in 2017 are gone, replaced with the quiet confidence of someone far more at ease with himself. I promise you, this gets a lot more juicy as it goes down, but I just want to read the whole article in full. Hang on to your wine glasses and your popcorn and your matcha tea and your coffee, everyone. So we sit on enormous cream sofas in front of a roaring fire, overlooked by a watercolor painting of a beach. I apologize for bringing my jet lag with me. He looks at his watch. Think of it this way. It's 11:10 p.m. in the UK. You're in the pub. He quickly remembers that I don't drink. Or you're not in the pub, but you're okay. You can do this. And so I switch on my tape recorder and we begin. He tells me that he is someone who likes to fix things. If I see wrongdoing and a pattern of behavior that is harming people, I will do everything I can to try and change it. He worries about the other spares in the family, as I know full well within my family, if it's not us. And at this, he points at his chest, it's going to be someone else. And though William and I have talked about it once or twice, and he has made it very clear to me that his kids are not my responsibility, I still feel a responsibility knowing that out of those 3 children, at least one will end up like me, the spare. And that hurts and worries me. Uncle Harry being loving Uncle Harry. And, he's not just doing this all for him. He's doing it for the rest of his family, even if they don't see it. And certainly for those children who are going to grow up in this institution. So it continues. I first met Harry in 2016 when I began working with him and his brother and sister-in-law on their mental health campaign, Heads Together. Right from the get-go, he seemed to grasp the issue of mental illness in a way that seemed quite unexpected from a member of the traditionally buttoned-up British royal family. I have only wonderful, warm memories of that period, in which where Harry came onto my podcast, Mad World, and speaking for the first time about the anguish he experienced trying to process the death of his mother. We developed what I would call a working friendship, which saw me get involved with various Heads Together and Royal Foundation events, and we have stayed in touch over the years. The Harry I have come to know is perhaps best summed up via an anecdote in Spare, where he develops trench foot while out on an army exercise in Wales. He's been yomping through the countryside for several days with equipment equivalent to the weight of a young teenager strapped on his back during a heatwave. Halfway through, the heatwave breaks with a storm of rain. They continue marching. Eventually, he realizes that his foot is burning. At a checkpoint, Harry takes off his boots and socks, and the bottom of his right foot peels away. Ooh. Okay, I haven't gotten to that part of Spare yet, so that was news to me. Medics inform him that the exercise is over for him, but when a staff sergeant tells him that there are only 8 miles left, he resolves to tape his feet in zinc oxide and get the hell on with it. Wow. The last 4 miles were amongst the most difficult steps I've ever taken on this planet, he explains. As we crossed the finish line, I began to hyperventilate with relief. He hobbled about like an old man for the next few days, proud of the punch that he pushed through. Here we have Harry, or Harold, or Has, or H, depending on who you are to a T. You can say what you like about him, you probably have, and throw what you like at him, you may wish you could. But when he feels he is on the right path, he keeps going, through thick and thin and trench foot. What you see with Harry is what you get, a quality that made us love him until relatively recently when he suddenly became the reason he has come in for so much hate. He has been called a cycle breaker, which is a term that refers to a person who changes decades, nay, century-old family patterns. There are some who cringe at his therapy speak, dismissing it as woke Californian pseudo-babble. That might have been the case way back in the 80s, but it isn't now. The truth is that Harry speaks about his feelings, about his escapism from dysfunction. He doesn't sound that different from any other person in their 30s who has been forced to confront issues with their mental health. The only real difference is a claim to the throne dating back to William the Conqueror. He speaks the language of recovery, and like most languages, being forced to learn it is painful. It is often messy and mistakes are made, but boy, is there a tremendous sense of reward when you start to be proficient in it. Amen to that. Harry is matter of fact about this process. He accepts that any chance of reconciliation is unlikely at the moment. What I've realized is that you don't make any friends, especially with your family, because everyone has learned to accept that trauma is a part of life. How dare you as an individual talk about it, because that makes us all feel really uncomfortable. So right, you may not like me in the moment, but maybe you will thank me in 5 or 10 years' time. Oh, Harry, say it, because it's the truth. As someone who writes about mental health, I am far more interested in the detrimental effects of what Harry describes as living in fancy captivity than I am in the talk of who said what and to whom. to me, the most shocking thing about Spare is that he kept all of this inside of him for so long, with only one altercation with the paparazzi. For all the side swipes about his privilege, trauma is trauma is trauma, whether it takes place in a damp bedsit or in front of a worldwide audience of billions as you walk behind your mother's coffin. In Spare, Harry reveals that for 10 years after Diana's death, his brain went into a state of complete shock, refusing to believe that she was actually dead, instead of engaging in the kind of magical thinking that is most often seen in people with severe obsessive compulsive disorder or psychosis. For an entire decade, Harry's grief was buried so deep that he believed his mother had gone into hiding, that she would return to him and his brother at any moment. He refers to it throughout as the disappearance, a detail so heartbreaking that you would have to be cold-blooded not to be moved by it. Okay, so he goes on to talk a little bit more about his childhood. So I'm going to just miss that part because it's all in the book. All right, and then Harry goes on to say, lots of people go through ish, he shrugs, when I express my sympathy for the litany of misfortune he has gone through. His critics have accused him of playing the victim, yet I find a man who is anything but. It's interesting because so many of these moments have made me the man that I am today, Harry says. Would I encourage Archie to stick his head inside a carcass? Probably not. But I think that's in reference to something that happened when they went hunting. But people who've experienced trauma deal with it in different ways. I think when it comes to me and William, the fascinating part is that we both experienced a similar traumatic experience. He wanted to talk about it, William wanted to talk about it when we were younger, which built up a little bit of resentment. Wasn't, it wasn't anything against him. I just didn't want to talk about it. And as I got older, I started to go slightly off the rails and deal with it through drinking and drugs. And he went completely silent and completely shut down. And then my life started to alter and completely change because I wanted or had no other choice than to confront the very thing that I had been running away from or scared of all these years. He tells me he tells me that he wasn't walking around thinking of his mother the whole time. He says, I was doing everything humanly possible not to think about her. Therapy at first, suggested by his brother, but properly engaged with once he got together with Megan, changed everything. It was like clearing the windscreen, clearing away all the Instagram filters, all of life's filters. Okay, so it goes on a little bit more about Diana and his memory, and then it goes on to say he took ayahuasca, okay, no, I'm going to say that word properly. Ayahuasca, a psychedelic with a professional. There is some research that the plant has positive effects on mental well-being. After taking the drug with the proper people, he says, sipping his entirely non-mind altering chamomile tea, I suddenly realized, wow, it's not about the crying. Mum just wants me to be happy. He also says, but as much as William was the first person to even suggest therapy, I just wish that he would have been able to feel the same benefits of that as opposed to believing what he doesn't need to. And yet, they are placing themselves as advocates for mental health, but they're not actually doing the work themselves, and they're so dysfunctional. And then you had Catherine yesterday saying, oh, talking therapy doesn't help everyone. Anyway, we're going to get on to that a little bit later. So Harry says it could have been worse, but he sees Spare as a last resort, not as a reconciliation, but an attempt to get his side of the story out. And he says, what's the difference between airing lies about your family through the British press or airing truth through a book? Pow. Yes. What's the difference between airing lies about your family through the British press or airing truth through your book? By the way, we haven't even gotten to the juicy part yet. We're about to get there. I told you this was a long article. And he says, in my case, this is all contained in one place where I hold myself entirely accountable and responsible for what I am saying. So he goes on to say, I don't see why it's so ingrained in society that whatever happens in your family, you should never talk about it, that no matter what's happened, I can't do this. But they, the royal family, can because of who they are and what they represent. The way I was brought up is that as a member of the royal family, you lead by example. You shouldn't be able to use that privilege to get away with more things. No institution is immune to criticism and scrutiny. And if only 10% of the scrutiny that was put on me and M was put on this institution, we wouldn't be in this mess right now. Harold, he went there. He absolutely went there. He goes on to say, it's so, he shudders and makes a grunt or sound. It's so dirty, so dark, and I will continue and it will carry on, and I look forward to the day when we are no longer part of it, but I worry about who's next. He says he knows that the press have got some. Oh wow, I didn't even read this. Look at this, like the first time I read this article. I feel like I missed this part. Okay. Sorry, I'm so stunned on what I just read. Okay. He says he knows that the press have got a ish ton of dirt about my family. I know they have, and they have swept it under the carpet for juicy stories about someone else. Oh my God. I'm just going to read that again. Harry says that he knows that the press have got a ish ton of dirt about my family. I know they have, and they sweep it under the carpet for juicy stories about someone else. Tell me your brother runs through the rose bushes without telling me that your brother runs through the rose bushes. He tells me about some of the darkest moments in 2019. I was coming back to Frogmore after he was born, and I would walk into the nursery, and there was Megan in a flood of tears. A flood of tears dripping on Archie while she was breastfeeding. That was heartbreaking for me. And she is someone who doesn't read the stories. She would be dead if she was reading the stories. We talk about his reasons for doing this. He says, this is not about trying to collapse the monarchy. This is about trying to save them from themselves. And I know that I will get crucified by numerous people for saying that. The question so many have put to him is it worth it? His response is simple. I feel like this is my life's mission, to right the wrongs of the very thing that drove us out. Because it took my mum, it took Carolyn Flack, who was my girlfriend, and it nearly took my wife. And if that isn't a good enough reason to use the pain and turn it into purpose, I don't know what is. I tell him that from reading Spare, it seems clear that it nearly took him too. Yeah, I get the impression that he didn't want to exist. And then he met Megan and he had an experience of it. I want to live. I was never aware how unhappy I was. I didn't allow myself to think about it. I put it to him that even if Megan is difficult, and I don't think she is, it's unlikely that the monarchy have never encountered a difficult member of the family before. Exactly. Like, for real. I mean, what is Andrew other than difficult? But that's the thing, he nods. That's the unconscious bias. But they always tell on themselves. The press will tell on themselves, and the family will tell on themselves as well. You look back on the history of how many members of my family have shouted at staff, and that is apparently all forgotten about. And Megan is the bully. He shakes his head. It's like, what? No, no, no. The members of his family that are literally brought up within this construct have some issues to deal with. There are stories of Charles like strangling his butlers and stuff. So yeah. Okay, so he talks a little bit more about the writing process of the ghostwriter. Okay, so he goes on to say, and JR, who's a ghostwriter, was amazed by the level of detail that I could remember. He tells me that the first draft was 800 pages, whereas the finished manuscript is just over 400. It could have been 2 books, put it that way. Some stuff, such as his life-changing trip to Nepal in 2016, had to be removed because of space issues. And there were other bits that I shared with JR that I said, look, I'm telling you this for context, but there's absolutely no way I'm putting it in there. And why wouldn't he put those bits in? Because he pauses. Because on the scale of things I could include for family members, there were certain things that, look, anything I'm going to include about any of my family members, I'm going to get trashed for. I knew that walking into it, but it's impossible to tell my story without them in it because they play such a crucial part in it. And also because you need to understand the characters and personalities of everyone within the book. And there are some things that have happened, especially between me and my brother, and to some extent between me and my father, that I just don't want the world to know. Oof, there's more. Apparently, there's something worse than being thrown on the floor and having your back cracked by a dog bowl, because I don't think they would ever forgive me. Now, you could argue that some of the stuff I've put in there, well, they will never forgive me anyway. But the way I see it, I'm willing to forgive you for everything you've done, and I wish you'd actually sat down with me properly. And instead of saying I'm delusional and paranoid, actually sit down and have a proper conversation about this. Because what I'd really like is some accountability and an apology to my wife. So they've never apologized to Megan. His wife is up in the main house with the kids. We go there after the interview with a smiling Megan greeting me at the door. We spend some time together, drink turmeric lattes, and I get to see Harry in his element. Husband Harry, dad Harry, the normal bloke, in thoroughly abnormal circumstances. The children run around, the dogs jump on the queen sofas with muddy paws, and all is much as you can find in another home during the witching hour just before the kids' tea. Before I go, Harry is keen to show me another wall, one he feels a little bit more positive about than the screen that sprung up in his head after his mother died. It's a picture wall on a staircase, the kind found in homes all over the world. It features scores of framed photographs of his wife and children alongside lovely handwritten cards from his grandparents. He has just finished putting it together as we admire it. I recognize that familiar look of pride I have seen on the face of my own husband, the look of a dad who has just completed a DIY task without destroying the plaster. It's tea time for the kids and the early hours of the morning for my jet lag brain, so I say my goodbyes to Harry and Meghan, who pack me off with hugs and homemade jam. But I think about that wall for the whole of the drive back to Los Angeles and then on the plane all the way back to London. I think about the glee Harry found in it, the smile on his face as he showed me it. But mostly, I think about how nice it would be for Harry's brother and father to see the wall. And one day, maybe even have some of their own carefree photographs included on it. And with that, I will hand it over to you, callers, waiting patiently. Thank you so much to Sarah, Valerie, and Lily who are in the chat so far. I mean, I think all of that speaks for itself, and I'm going to let you speak and let me know what you think of all that. It's late, so I'm going to keep it to 3 or 4 minutes per speaker, please, and I will ring the bell as always if you're going on for a little bit too long so we can go on to the next speaker. All right, Sarah. Are you there, Sarah? Or Sarah? Okay, maybe she's gone to make some tea. So, Valerie?
To be honest, good evening, everybody. Good evening, Anne. I hope you have a good evening and everything.
Thank you.
Well, ooh, I'm like that. I'm just, oh,
Yeah, stunned. Stunned, right?
Well, all I can say is this. My daughter, my daughter's her uncle, who's 80 years old, sent her a copy, an ebook copy of Spare, and he's 80, so obviously he's reading it in Canada. Wow, I'm actually lost for words. Actually, what I actually listened to you. I think with Harry's relationship, it really reminds me of the video game Magic Crimson Vow with Ishinard and Olivia. The other film, Ready for Not, Get Out Part 133, British Royal Edition. Right, a little bit about Lebedev, Eugenie Lebedev. He's the owner of the Evening Standard.
Yeah.
When Boris Johnson was foreign secretary, he went to a party in Italy. They have his father, and he have a large home in Italy.
Mhm.
And it is alleged, and this is on record. He evaded MI5 or MI second which one, and he was drunk. And it is alleged that he released certain secrets. And that was they who convinced him that we should leave the EU.
Wow.
And also they also, if you look down, if you go on the government website and you read a Russian report, it explains everything.
Wow, that's interesting. Okay.
And also, I was reading bits and pieces of his book, and apparently, Harry said he was warned by about Americans that they're too loud, too proud, too honest, too rich and too happy, too confident, too rich and too happy.
All of the terrible things, right? That's everything that you don't want to be: rich,
Yes,
confident, and happy.
yes, loud, proud, honest, rich, confident, and happy.
Yeah.
All I can say is they really, like for instance, it's funny how we talk about how people abuse people. First of all, you isolate them from their friends and so on and so forth, and then you try to send them mad, you gaslight them. And it's really, I used to watch those old films, like for instance the gaslighting. For instance, they had this other one, they were rich and he tried to gaslight, I think it's The Curse of Dunbar or something like that. And it's a classic the classic book of the thing. I think, to be honest, I personally feel that the royal family are not what we think they are. I think that
Yeah.
they're far worse than what they really are. That's what I personally think. And I think that with Meghan, I think that why they like fresh people to come in is because they need to do certain things
Yeah, they
to
need they
keep.
need to mold them, right? And it's easier
Yes,
to put somebody in line. It's just that Megan, not only was she just like fresh, she was,
yes.
she already
She
had
was
her own life.
really fresh. She
Yeah.
was, she was, I mean, for like for instance,
I mean,
she
fresh in the sorry, can I just say fresh in the sense that she didn't really understand how, this establishment and how the aristo set works, but she had her own life. She was, mid-30s. So she wasn't like a spring chicken in terms of
no
life.
life.
Yeah.
And and also, like for instance, remember the thing is that when she went in, he said that she was in her mid-30s. And then when they tried to remake her and tell lies about her, and the issue where they started getting even worse was when everybody said no, that's not her, because they
Yeah.
followed her on Instagram.
Yeah.
And that's where the rage. That's where, and that's what I noticed now. It's not just the opposite. It's not just the what you call the word, the obsession about her. It's this rage. Have you noticed? It's this complete rage.
About
I've
her.
never
Yeah.
Yes, I've never seen rage about such peace. You're so angry, and
Mhm.
how, and with all this rage. And I mean, I even the other person who was completely not there is Megan Kelly. I think she sounded insane. I saw. I mean, she just. I think with
Yeah.
Candice. I think with Candice Owen. I don't know if she's doing it in tongue and cheek. She's doing it to get her money because she's very good and she's very thing. But I want to know if she's done it.
Yeah. No, do you know something? Well, first and foremost, Candace is married to a hedge fund manager whose father is a lord. But
Yeah.
I do think with Candace, it is very much part of her act. Whereas with Meghan, like I don't actually think deep down Candace Owens hates Meghan Markle. I think it's just
No,
her
she
very
doesn't.
nasty act. But with Meghan Kelly, like she
She just
does,
went.
like
That's the way.
it's mental.
And she sort of went. And she just, she started talking normal, and all of a sudden, she sort of, her voice changed. And I don't know, did you notice her face changed?
Yeah.
Her face started to alter.
Do you know what? Usually I wouldn't encourage anyone to go watch the trolls, but like I want y'all to just go watch this one video of Megyn Kelly because it is hilarious.
And I noticed her face altered. It's sort of, it's looked normal, it's altered. I don't know if you ever saw that film called The Devil's Advocate. Do you remember when the man's wife was looking in the mirror and he said that they look normal and then their face altered?
Yeah. All right, Valerie. I'm gonna let the next caller in, but thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for
having me. Thank you.
Thank you for giving us a laugh.
Yeah.
Bye. Sarah Caraway. I don't know if you've ever come up before. Hi. Hello, Sarah. Oh no, Sarah. You gotta turn your camera off, hon. Turn your camera off. The reason I ask for people to put their cameras off is because if later on you decide that you don't want your face in videos, I can't edit it out. So you have to turn the camera off and audio only, please. Thank you very much. Hello, we can hear you.
I understand.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I was confused because earlier I pressed unmute, but then you couldn't hear me, so I wasn't sure what was going on.
No worries.
Oh, yay. Okay, awesome. So
Go on.
I just wanted to say I've only been following since the Netflix documentary came out.
Okay.
And wow, I'm like ruining your life. Okay, so I just wanted to say I love this channel that you have. It's awesome. I've been following since the Netflix documentary came out.
Thank you.
I feel like it's a very positive environment to discuss this as well.
Mhm.
I never thought I'd be so interested in the royal family, but I guess I just like fell in love with Meghan once, with Prince Harry and with, I think most of the world also. I was very surprised that the tabloids and the British media turned on her so quickly and with such hate. And it's just really sad to see. I'm in the US, so everyone I've talked to here really likes her and doesn't understand why. She'd face so much racism and just vitriol.
And I was gonna say,
what was I gonna say? I just came on to say hello, to say thank you. And I do have one random question. I think I missed this, but how do we know that Kate was going after the jewels?
Oh, what do you mean? When?
I was just like out of that conversation.
Which jewelry? Are you talking about the Queen's jewelry? Because she was. Are you referring to the Queen's jewelry that she was wearing at the funeral?
Oh, she was wearing it at the funeral. Okay, yeah. I just totally missed that story, and I was curious.
Yeah. She was wearing pieces from the Queen at the Queen's funeral.
Oh, that's weird.
Some people thought that was a bit weird.
Yeah, it is.
And have you read Spare? Have you got the book yet?
I haven't read it yet. I'm gonna go get it this evening.
Okay.
But I'm looking forward to reading it.
Well, thank you so much for calling in and joining the community, Sarah.
Thank you, Anne.
No worries. Thank you for calling in.
Bye.
All right, Leslie.
Hey, Anne, how are you?
I'm great. You?
I'm wonderful. I just landed in Chicago this morning because I have a contract here and it's so cold. And I already hit up Barron. I'm like, I'm here. We need to get together and do lunch and do Sussex talks. But anyways, I'm just wondering if any of the Sussex squad or anybody else has picked up on this one irony. Very ironic. The other day I was watching Piers Morgan and Sharon Osbourne on his show complaining about Harry backtracking on the racism issue with the concerns with Archie's skin color before he was born. And they were really upset about that. He went on the talk show and said, I never said it was racism. It was unconscious bias, and so they were really upset because he lost his job. Sharon Osbourne lost her job. And why did they wait 2 years to make a statement about, no, we weren't implying racism in my family. We were applying unconscious bias. What I think is ironic is that is exactly what happened to Pierce and Sharon Osbourne is what has been happening to Meghan and Harry all of
Yeah.
these years. So I look at it this way and I'm like, you know what? They were just exercising their dignified silence. Because all it's like think about it. So if Sharon was Meghan and Pierce was Harry, and the statement from Harry from the show saying unconscious bias, how many times have Harry and Meghan said all they wanted was the royal household or the institution to put out a statement saying this is incorrect, and they would be like, no, we're not going to say anything about it. And or even now with everything, oh, they're just being exercising their dignified silence. I look at him like, well, you know what? You two just got a little dose of a one-time shot of bad karma or something bad happening to you because you chose to believe something the tabloids spin. Because Harry and Meghan never said it was racism. That was a tabloid spin.
But can I just say, sorry,
yeah,
can I just say, sorry, Leslie?
yeah.
Piers Morgan lost his job because of, first of all, what he said about Meghan not believing that she, was feeling suicidal, and he actually walked out. And I do believe that that was all staged because he walked then straight on to Talk TV, and what was it, like a 50 million pound deal with Murdoch?
Yeah.
So I actually think that whole thing was staged by him anyway. So you can't sit there and say that that's why he lost his
Well,
job.
that's what he said. He said he was fired. He lost his very happy job. And then Sharon Osbourne was fired from the show in the States because she supported Pierce having freedom of speech.
No, that it wasn't because of that. Wasn't it because she was
Yeah.
rude to that lady on the show?
Well,
Wasn't
she
that
but,
what
but the
she was
her
fired?
argument was because she felt he could exercise his freedom of speech. And she didn't believe that the royal family was racist. And now, and I'm just laughing. I'm like, wow, that's one thing that happened in your life. Imagine something bad like that happening every day of your life for the last 2 to 4 years.
Yeah, crazy
You
scenario,
know?
really.
But I just thought it was ironic. I'm like, they just got a dose of what Harry and Meghan have been dealing with for years, and they don't even realize it, that they lost their jobs because of the tabloids and because Meghan and Harry decided to exercise their dignified silence and not correct the statement.
Yeah. All right, thank you so much, Leslie.
You're welcome.
Have a great day.
You-
Ooh. Okay, Canon. Or sorry, is it Canar? So there's something wrong with your device. So please make sure that is connected, please, before I let you on. And Lauren, I'm gonna let you go next.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hey, how are you?
Fantastic, thank you. Still drinking my rosé wine. I need to stop.
Honestly, I don't, enjoy your time. I think rosé was one of the wines that Megan really touted on the TIG as well. So you're in good company. I'm sure she'd be enjoying the
Have
fact that
you
you're
tried?
enjoying it
Have
in.
you tried the TIG? I feel like you're the type of person that would have tried the TIG.
You know what's so funny? I was in oh God, what's the restaurant called? I was in I can't St. Ambrose. And I was there for dinner with some friends, and literally I was staring at the giant like bottles of TIG, and I was like, I should definitely order this. I should definitely order this. And then somehow got like mixed up in conversation, was so knee deep in my ragu bowl that I completely forgot. And then I think I like got like a tequila or something. And by the time that was done, we were outside. So it didn't
You
happen at
missed your
that point.
chance.
Yes, but, absolutely it's going to. But yeah, so dig into that rosé. Just have like a banana or something because the potassium kinda helps, electrolytes and all that good stuff helps if you're thinking headaches tomorrow or anything like that. Yeah.
Thanks for the tip.
Not that you asked me for it. Okay, gosh, so thank you for reading that because it was definitely behind a wall and I was not trying to um
Pay the Telegraph.
hell no. Sorry. I don't know if you want me saying that, but absolutely not. And I also checked out the Substack link. Uh where it's basically the same article, but there's just, I guess, some pieces that were left out or, cut um, from the like Telegraph one specifically. So, that's an interesting take as well. But, what hit me in, what, I might be blurring the two. So it might, what I'm saying, reference Substack or the one you just read.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, the heartbreak for me was hearing about Megan while she was breastfeeding. Like
Yeah.
that is depression, Of course, I am not a psychologist. I don't know that for sure. I am not speaking on her actual mental health. This is just conjecture. But that was just absolutely heartbreaking. And in a way, I was actually at the same time happy that that was spoken about,
Mm.
because I think again this idea that women of color are so strong and can take everything. I think a lot
Mm.
of um, like us in the squad at the time when we can only see the front side of it, they haven't left. There's not this information like we're getting now with the book and the documentary. um, it kind of becomes this, we're hoping she's strong, not because we want to project onto her stereotype or anything like that, but I think so many of us, that empathy that, Harry so rightly brings up, the way that we relate to this narrative that, we're watching play out and it's actual people's lives. Um,
Mm.
we hope, or like, gosh, I hope she has the backbone of titanium, of unbreakable, carbon fiber, because it's just I mean, I think any of us looking at that, we're like, how is that livable?
Yeah.
Um, and so I think anytime we have a glimpse of the reality of being a human, of being a woman, of misogynoir, um, is excellent.
Mm.
Um, I like also that not that I like that, sorry, that's not the right word exactly, but I thought it was helpful also that he mentioned financial abuse, that was
Mm.
called out, because I think many people go through that and actually don't have the words for that, because that is a form of manipulation that is so, um, it's so kind of normalized by some as, "Oh, he's just frugal," or, "Oh, they're just, they don't like to spend a lot, I'm
Mm.
forgetful, so they need to make sure I whatever." That happens, and it happens a lot to women and to men, as Harry highlights, just by being and sharing that narrative. So I'm really glad that he talked about that, or exposed that phrase for people who may not know that they may be going through a similar thing.
Mm.
And I think lastly, although there's like a million things to talk about, um, the statement of, like him calling out people for projecting their narcissism onto him and to Meg,
Mhm.
uh, facts, absolutely, yes. Um, and I'm frankly tired of it, so I can't even imagine how they must feel. All of this, again, armchair psychologists, everybody talking about it and having no clue what it actually means, or what it actually looks like. Um,
Mm.
and the fact that clinical narcissism is a lot more malignant than, oh, someone just wants attention. We call that being a ham, you know, uh, figuratively, like, that's not the same as narcissism. And
Mm.
I don't think we saw Ham or any of that with Harry and Meghan. We saw people who just understood the value of having your stuff together when you're going out and saying you're going to help people and be of service. And I think this point that um that really struck you, I think that struck all of us, was that last part about, well, not last part, but that statement on the 10% of attention.
Mm.
Um,
Oh, yes, was paid to the institution, yes.
yes. I mean, and don't you just like, I mean, how many times has everyone in the squad said, just like,
Yeah,
hello, there are other people you can be talking to.
yeah,
There really is a whole bunch that's there. And what's crazy is that these statements aren't even that profound, in that, again, everything that he's talking about, we've already seen. It's already been
yes.
discussed. It's known. So I just really liked that, uh, that he was willing to go there, that he was willing to say that. And, you know, um, was it Valerie who was saying, the rose bushes, or was that the comment
No,
section? I can't remember.
I think that was me.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly. But
Yeah.
it'd just be interesting to see. I think he's trying to create a way for what do they call it? Egress, a way for, he doesn't want to burn the path for his family to leave the mindset behind. He doesn't want to burn the
Yeah.
bridge between where he is and where they are. Um, I just wonder if that's going to be sustainable as an approach, because there is such a um, some skeletons in the closet are
Sorry,
too much.
I accidentally just kicked myself out there for a
Oh
second.
no.
But yeah, thank you so much, Lauren.
Yeah.
Always something thoughtful to put forward. Always grateful to have you here.
Thank you, Anne.
Thank you. Okay, next, Joe. Hello.
Good evening, squaddies.
Good evening.
Harry. My heart is just all over the place. I started reading, a friend had bought me the electronic version, and I got to episode 38, and I thought, no, I need to hear this. I need to hear these words. So I got the Kindle version, and I'm listening to it. A couple of things come to mind. I think the family are really fearful of Harry, not necessarily about what he may say, because they know Harry, and to some extent Meghan knows skeletons and bodies. They know those things. I think what they're fearful of is the cognitive dissonance that Harry is showing them. They're fearful of change. They're fearful of, well, how far can he really go with this? And it's one thing to convince yourself that you are superior to somebody, or convince somebody for all of their lives that they're inferior to you. The moment they take that leap of faith, because by the time that person gets to the point of taking the leap of faith, they have already decided along the way. I think what's shocking them is that Harry has actually been taking note. He's been taking note throughout all of his life, while they were busy thinking, oh, he's despair, oh, he's stupid, oh, he's good for nothing, oh, he won't amount to nothing. The press jumped on the bandwagon, and they really, really thought that Harry believed the hype that they were putting out about him, or the negativity. And I think they are absolutely shocked to the core at how much they underestimated this man. And I think the reason why we're hearing Meghan being blamed is because they're refusing to accept that Harry outsmarted them.
Yes.
The good thing about what Harry is doing is that he can walk out there now, and there's nothing anyone can throw at him that's going to affect him. I mean, okay, some people believe he's shared too much opinion, too much of what's been going on. But you know what I think, Anne? I think that's an honesty that's just unquestionable. He shared honesty, he shared truth, he shared vulnerability, he shared his silly side, the serious side, the fearful side, all of those things. And what I thought was really, really interesting as I was reading the pages and hearing him narrating it was when he said, and we came down to Buckingham Palace and we were outside shaking hands with people, smiling, all these wet hands, not working out what that meant, but thinking, I can't cry. I'm not allowed to cry. And I remember watching that and thinking, where are the adults in this? Who actually thought it was a good idea to have these children walking behind this funeral cortege? Where are the people that are meant to be protecting them?
Yeah.
And I think also, I don't believe there's anybody in that family, institution, brand, business who didn't know who Meghan was by the time we got to the engagement. She would have
Oh,
been
of course.
researched to within an inch of her life.
Yes.
And several things come to mind. Okay, she's too good for us, but maybe we should take a chance because she might give us a little bit more credibility. And then when she comes into the fold, it's, well, let's see how much weight we can put on her. Let's see if we can break her. Let's see how strong she is. And there's an old saying that it takes a lot more strength to stay in a situation than it does to walk away. In this situation, I think it's the complete opposite. It took more strength to walk away and say, do you know what? I've seen the best that Britain has to offer, but thanks, but no thanks. You can have that. It's like, how very dare you? And, we've heard family and friends and all these comments that we don't recognize Harry anymore. You don't recognize Harry anymore because you're still expecting to see the spare, whereas Harry is showing us who Harry truly is. And it's like they
Yeah.
are now I think they're so angry with themselves, which is why they can't say anything. They can't. They're just like,
Yeah,
how could
and
we be so fooled?
yeah, and on what you just said, actually, I had a slide that had something from an article from a British tabloid that I think speaks to exactly what you've just said, and I'll just read it out. It says, where as we loved Harry and felt invested in his happiness, now we feel rejected on a national level. We wanted him to love us, but he left. The Oprah interview painted the UK as the fussy old wife who stifled him, while America as the sexy young girlfriend who he felt finally understood by. They're collectively hurting. Well, I don't know, but I mean,
Exactly.
I would say that the crazy royalists is
Mm.
the we,
The
and
royal we.
you know,
Mm.
yeah, them saying now we feel rejected on national level. Well, you rejected his wife.
You rejected
And
him.
how could you expect him to love you if
Yeah,
you didn't love the love of his life?
exactly. And what's really interesting is listening to them saying, because I've always heard him referred to as the spare, always, 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 up until recently he was being referred to as the spare. Now, when Harry took that and disempowered that word and flipped it around, what are we hearing now? Oh, but he stopped being the spare since George was born. Well, you didn't stop calling him the spare when George was born. You kept
Hmm.
referring to him as the spare. He's no longer, he's surplus to requirements. And it's like he has outsmarted them on every level. And quickly before the bell goes, something else I was thinking about all through this. Um, I think why the press are really, really mad at him is that he cut off their air supply. And we've watched for the last 6 years. They thought, well, actually, you're going to reject us, so we're going to milk as much as money as we can out of you, which ties into this whole hate campaign because we all know hate sells. But now
Yeah.
Harry has completely blown it out the water. And I think that's one of the reasons why he's given so much information,
Yeah.
because I think they'll be hard pressed now to find anything about him to throw out there. Well, they're in a conundrum because if they find any hard pressed information, it's like, do we divulge this? Will it make the royals look bad? Or how can we say this without Harry saying anything? Harry has said all he needs to say.
Yes.
Anything else you bring now is going to reflect really badly on the family. And I think Harry was very, very strategic once again about what he divulged. We all know there's so much more both him and Meghan could have said. And I will say this to any of the haters that are listening. Harry and Meghan were very, very gracious to this family.
Yes.
If you think that Sarah was caught in a sting trying to sell information on this family, if we remember that Ford Fiesta was caught bad mouthing the family, Harry and Meghan have been incredibly gracious.
Yes.
And I loved when Harry said in the interview to Tom Bradbury, Meghan never said they were racist. I never said they were racist. That was the tabloids that said that. I
Yeah.
thought, yes, yes, Harry.
Yeah. And his,
Um,
I think we do also have to remember that Harry and Meghan are literally playing the art of war with a
absolutely.
2,000-year-old institution. So we always have to just remember that. Like sometimes they may not always, like. Sorry, sometimes we might not always like what they have to say. Harry came out and said, "Well, we love our
Of
lady
course.
Susan Hussey."
So, yeah.
And also, actually, I had it on a slide about the comments about the monarchy. I think squaddies sometimes forget, at the end of the day, they are still royals. You're
They
you're
are
never
still
gonna
family.
hear
No,
you're never gonna hear Harry and Meghan say abolish the monarchy. And like I
no,
said in my tweet,
no.
I've seen a lot of people wishing Harry and Meghan would denounce the monarchy. They are still royals, and that would be seen as literal treason.
Hmm.
And you have no idea what that could trigger behind the scenes
Yeah.
if they ever said anything like that about the monarchy.
Mm.
And the fact that they even include in discussions about colonialism and divine rights in their documentary, that was pushing it enough.
Yeah.
So I
And
think
I
they're
think I
sorry, go
think
on.
also for the haters that have been going at Harry and Meghan, but particularly Harry, if they are really sticking to tradition, they ought to recognise that they are also being treacherous by going after the king's son. This works both ways. You cannot go after the king or the queen and any of their children, and that's exactly what they're doing by going after Harry. That is exactly what they're doing. It works both ways. It works both ways. And I think ultimately Harry is happy. And what I love about Harry is that he is a hopeful person. There is so much hope in this guy. And it's like he's saying, look, guys, if you really just did a rain check, did a bit of introspection, you could be received so much better and have such a wider reach if you just checked yourselves a bit, because all of us need a bit of a self-check from time to time.
Yeah.
How,
Thank you
how,
so
how
much,
can we
Joe.
hope to modernize if we living in the past?
Yeah, we can't. We've got to move on, and I think that's what Harry is trying to get his family to see, but it may take some time. But thank you so much, Joe.
You're welcome. Take care. Bye.
Bye bye. All right. I see Slick. Who's this?
Hello, Anne. How you doing?
I'm fine. Are you the one that I booted last time?
Don't worry. Apologies for last time. I just was trying to be balanced. Okay.
No worries. Welcome
Yeah.
back to the chat.
Yeah. That's fine.
Thank you for understanding why I did what I did.
I do understand that. I was just trying to add a bit of balance to the whole conversation, and it went the other way. So that's fine.
No worries.
I
What do you have to say about
I didn't mean to offend anybody. I just wanted to make sure we are fair to everybody. That's all the point I was trying to make.
All right. Thank you very much, Slick.
Regarding tonight's topic, I just think it's fascinating how programmed the whole society is, and I see that like we've been so programmed into believing into this system that even when somebody from within is telling us the truths about how these things function, we have become like human robots, and we are just rejecting it. And the press and tablet, for example, it's a money making machine for them. And the question I come back each time asking myself is that what is there to be afraid of? What is so fearful about the unraveling or being transparent? What is it that people are trying to hide or hold on to? And the things, if truth will stand on its own, regardless whether it's investigated or anything that is truthful will always stand the test of time. It's only things that are hidden, that are not things that will cause embarrassment, or things that are not true. People try to protect it and find ways of like, oh, we can't be open. It's like a cult. You can't be open to scrutiny or anything like that. And I find that troubling, because what is the monarchy afraid of? Is it the fact that, okay, we've put people on a pedestal and they are just as human as we are, dysfunctional as we are? And what is wrong with that? Because the idea, even people were complaining the fact that Harry is having a drink on a TV show, and irritating people all over the world. And I'm just saying, come on, he's human, just like us. We've put such people on such a pedestal, and when they fail, we are surprised and shocked. And I find it fascinating how we are reacting, because we've been programmed for such a long time. such a long
Yeah.
time, such a long time, that even when what is it that the question I also ask again is that what is it that Harry and Meghan have done that is so bad that they will be vilified to such a point, insulted, even when they're speaking the truth, they are terming them as mad people. They have got psychosis, labeling them so that they are not believed or anything. But it's with time, it will become obvious now when these royal reporters sit on television screen, they are queried, and I get excited when Camilla Tomlin gets squirms in her seat when she's asked, "Where did you get this information from? Is it from a
Yeah.
royal source? Where is this information coming from?" And they can't really rely on, "Oh, a palace insider told me," because Harry has put a
Yes.
bomb under that the use of those terms, and therefore people are waking up to the fact that when people bring up stories and they said somebody from the palace or a courtier, a palace insider give this information, they can't really say it's not happening,
Hmm.
because how did you get the information? If Harry is saying his version, sorry, and you are saying your version, how did you get hold of that information?
Yeah. Now
And
they've
that's
been
the
put in a very
question they can't
precarious
answer.
position. Yeah, indeed. All right, thank you so much. Like you made a very excellent point, and it's actually kind of masterful what Harry has done in that regard, because now people like Camilla Tominey, as you said, have absolutely nowhere to run. But thank you so much, Slick. Hope you have a lovely day.
You too. Take care.
Thank you. Bye bye. All right. Canna, your device still isn't connected. So please do sort that out if you'd like to speak. I will post the link to the chat one more time. So this is your last chance to come up if you do want to come up. You basically got until Rahini finishes her part. And if you haven't come up by then I'm not going to allow any more people in after that. All right. Right, Rahini.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. How are you?
Yes, I'm at work, so I have to behave myself today.
You're always at work when you
I
call
have
in.
to behave
So bad.
myself, and I'm only here because Lightside and Joe Blogs is making me. I was ordered, just like the Queen ordered Harry. They made me. Um, what occurred since I just finished the audiobook today? Just finished it. What occurred to me is that Harry is still holding out hope that his family will change,
Mhm.
right? But I wonder if he recognizes that they cannot, because they have painted themselves into a corner. I have always said um the hate campaign against Meghan is their business model. It is the 5M business model. Maligning Meghan Markle makes money and it is lucrative,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And they don't want to let that up. No, he asks for reconciliation. I think he has to ask himself, what does that look like? From
Mm,
his part, and what they deserve is them acknowledging their role in their suffering. And one major part of repentance is trying very hard not to do it again. But we see over this week, they have been doing the exact same things that he has said in the book. Every single thing they have done over and over again. So that reconciliation is not going to happen, right? But what does reconciliation look like from their standpoint?
mhm.
Reconciliation from their standpoint is them coming back into the same situation. Um, you see, because after, is it May when the coronation is? After May,
Yeah.
Charles will be somewhat untouchable by the
Yeah.
press because now he will be the monarch. And attacking the monarch is attacking the entire system. So they cannot, right? And since
Yes.
the business models of hero and villains is how the tabloids operate, who are they going to turn to next? William and Kate. And I believe William figured that out very quickly, and he decided to serve up his brother and his brother's wife on a silver platter just for to protect himself because Harry was supposed to be that buffer between him until he gets there and then he's untouchable. And then I believe that what would happen is one of the children, his children, most likely Louis, right, would be the next on the
Yeah.
chopping block. And this is what they want,
But
right?
now that Harry has blown the lid on the game and Louis is not going to be a grown adult for some time, who's
They're
going to be next
stuck.
then?
They're stuck, right? So this idea of reconciliation, I'm not sure if he thought that through because there is almost nowhere for them to move. You look at the chessboard before you, and there's no moves for the royal family, especially William and Kate. And it's very interesting that he puts a lot of the leaking and the blame on Camilla, and that is the only part of the book that I would disagree with him because who benefited from the negative stories? It wasn't his father and Camilla, it was his brother and his brother's wife. And I wondered if anybody pointed that out to him because in this past 6 years, have you seen any negative stories about William and Kate?
No.
None, not one. And just what a couple weeks before, it was Duchess Doolittle, Wiltshire Will. That's
And
just
all of
weeks
that just,
before.
yeah,
And as a matter of fact, just a couple weeks before, there was a story about them being on vacation. And I think it was their fourth or fifth vacation in the Maldives or something. That was the story. So it's it's we saw negative stories about Charles and Camilla, so they clearly didn't benefit. You have, if you want to know who's the culprit, is the people who benefit. You know what I mean? When you have a murder case before you, what's the first thing that who benefits from this person
yeah,
being taken off the board, right?
yeah.
And it is the two of them. And in the book, he seemed to kind of, I don't know if he's still holding out hope for them by putting it on her, but I I think he might be slightly off, and I think he might need to take the word reconciliation out of his vocabulary
I mean,
because I don't think it's gonna work
I
because
don't know if
what
it's
does
so
that
much
look
so
like?
about, yeah, I don't know if it's so much about like he's holding out hope, rather he's just leaving the door open and also protecting himself. Thank you so much, Lauren Brown, for the super sticker. And also protecting himself because then nobody can say in the future that Harry didn't give his family a chance. He still left the door open despite everything, and he still says that he is open to forgiveness if they are, willing to hold themselves accountable and apologize to Megan. But thank you so much, Rahini. Thank you for calling in and go
And
back to work.
I have to leave with a joke. I have no choice.
Oh
I have
gosh.
no choice but to make you a laugh.
Oh gosh.
When I fast forward to the V card story and his mounting
Oh
story,
god.
and it was really, really, really quick. So I have come up with the idea that I wonder if William knows how to mount. And then I realize he doesn't. Because whether he's pegging or sleeping rough with a black man, he's being mounted.
Well, next question. See ya.
Thank you so much, as always, Rahini, for giving us your philosophy. Have a nice day at work. Oh God, Rahini, what are we gonna do with you? If it's not William mounting, it's using a stripper pole to be a Christmas tree. Dangerous you are, Rahini. All right. Okay. We're gonna. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of you in the chat, so we're gonna race through you. Okay. 3, 4 minutes each, please. Lily. Lily, you there? Okay, we're gonna go to Karen while Lily's making her tea.
Hi, Anne.
Hi.
Is this Lily or is it Karen? Which one?
No, it's Karen. It's Karen. Go right ahead. I can hear you.
Okay. Hi, Anne. Hi, Squaddies. Happy Friday. Hope all is doing well. I'm in a lot of smiles today. I did finish reading doing the Audible and just reading the book, but I'm not going to give away anything because I know people are still reading, but there is a lot to talk about. Very interesting. Not a lot that is surprising, but a lot that's shocking. And it is awesome. What a storyteller. He is wonderful, wonderful, wonderful storyteller. I'm looking forward for the blockbuster movie, which I think it's going to be happening. I am looking forward to that.
Who do you think would be best to play Harry? Who could pull that off?
I was thinking about that, but I don't know. I really don't. I really don't know. I'm still searching my head to see. For me, in this moment, only Harry can play Harry because he is. I think he will be so good. This guy is so good. He is so good, and he's an actor, and he's an actor in himself. Because he gets lost in these stories, and he's very dramatic in it, and he shows the emotions and everything. And whoever is going to be playing him, I know that he will be right there coaching them because he is really, really good. Just an overall view, I find that most of this is he is being so good to the family. He is basically glorifying them, with the relationship that they basically had as he's see it they're growing up. He's glorifying the father and the brother. They come at him with a lot of stuff, but he is not the type of person, from what I gather. He deals with stuff and he moves on from it, and it doesn't hit him again until he's attacked again by it, right? So he's always seeing the good in everyone until he's hit with the bad. He is putting a stop, and he's trying to put a stop, and even helping the family to put a stop to all the stuff that was going on, the way they were running this monarchy. He's forcing their hands to make a change, to actually be a proper monarchy instead of this, I don't even know what to call it that they have here, because this is just a masquerade. It really is. And he is trying to put a stopping to that. He's trying to deprogram a lot of what's been going on, and trying his best to do that to his brother. And I think that's why he's trying to leave the door open and have a lot of hope, so to help William to wake up and see the light. I think that he's still hoping for that relationship between them to come back as what it was that the mother would want, and so he's leaving that door open.
Okay, so okay, I have to cut you off there, but thank you.
Not a problem. You take care. Take care, sweetie. Bye.
Thank you, Karen, and thank you for always sending me things throughout the day. Okay, Delbert Types. I'm gonna let you go next. Hello. Dub, are you there?
Oh, can you hear me?
Hello? Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can
you
hear
can
you.
hear me. Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm surprised. I was just trying and then it happened. Hello,
Oh,
everybody.
happy to have you here.
Yes. Yes. No. Hello, everybody. Happy to say. I just want to say at first, I got my books.
Nice.
I
Okay, Delba, I think there's something wrong with your internet connection, so just toggle with it a little bit. I'm gonna let Flame talk, and then I'll try you again afterwards. It's just you keep on going in and out, all right? Flame,
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. I
Happy,
love your avatar.
happy. I was thinking of Black Girl Magic and Black, but I couldn't find one, so I went with You Rock. So everybody,
Nice.
hi Squaddies, hi Squaddies. Happy New Year, Squaddies. Um, I'm happy with the way the interviews went. I'm so glad. I was worried about how the interviews would go because I knew they would attack him and attack him and attack him, but he handled them so well. And I think Camilla, I think what Harry very nicely was saying was that she was manipulating everybody, his father, for her own benefit, to make herself look good. And she didn't care who she threw under the bus. I understand what they were saying about William. And William's little guy, he had him out there doing some things too. But so everybody really seems to be for themselves. So William was for himself, trying to get his in, and she was for herself, trying to throw anybody under the bus except Charles to rehabilitate herself. And poor little Mumbles over there. She just looks confused. The two of them were out. I don't know where they were going. I don't know if they were trying to dress like Harry and Meghan. I mean, I don't know what they were. I don't know what they were doing. They just look confused to me. Um, so but the sad thing is, I don't think they would even try to get themselves together. He keeps saying to them, "I'm trying to help you. You don't understand." Because he even said in one of the last two interviews, they just missed out on such a huge opportunity with Megan. They missed out on such an opportunity with Megan. So they can't understand what he is saying because he doesn't understand. It's still rooted in colonization. And that mindset is not going to go away. That's why they can't relate to any of the people in the Commonwealth. But Harry loves them, and I don't think he can see that they're not going to be able to make that shift with
But you
I'm
know
sorry, it's
what?
not fun.
But you know what, Flame? Even though we know that's true, and I'm sure even Harry knows that's probably true, but in the future, they can never ever say that Harry didn't give them a chance. They can never say that now. And I think that's what
That's
matters more than anything.
That's true because I think he wants a record for his children. I think he clearly wants his children to see I tried my best. I tried to help them. I tried to bring them along. But when it came down to it, I did right by you and your sister and your mom. But this is our story. I think he wanted to get it in print just in case something happened. One of my favorite parts is that Tyler Perry is little bit scrap Godfather. I would love to see a Cinderella movie, but I think it should be made by some black people. I don't know if it'd be Tyler Perry, that's kind of close, but maybe the one that did Blackish. What is his name? He has a whole lot of
Uh,
projects. I can't think of his name. The one that the
I mean,
creator of. Anyway, go ahead.
we definitely need a Cinderella movie. It'd be great if Tyler Perry could do it, but I'll take anyone. I'll take Disney because this needs to be made into like a
Disney is
Disney
the Prince
like
and Princess King
animation.
Queens, so they are
Yes.
the masters of that. So yes, it should be Disney. It should be Disney.
All
Uh,
right. Thank you so much, Flame.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye, Squaddies. Happy New Year.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Del, but Kana, I'm gonna give you one last chance to get your device sorted out because it's still not connected. And if it's not connected, by the end of our next guest, I will end the calls there. This is the last call we're gonna do, folks. So Delba, are you there now? Let's
Yes,
try
can you
again.
hear me? Yeah, can you
Yeah,
hear
I can
me?
hear you. Yeah,
Okay, so sorry about that. This is my first time, just like I said,
no
and I
worries.
want to wish everybody Happy New Year.
Thank
And I
you.
was just giving it a try, and I'm happy it worked out. So just want to say that I just got my book and I just started reading it, and there's a lot. And for someone like myself, coming from Africa and then living in the United States for quite some times, and I was living in Paris when Harry mom died. I actually
Oh
was
wow.
there, and yeah,
Wow.
so I still remember that. And then it was, but I went there. I was back then, it's like 14, 15. So to see this young man becoming a man.
Okay, I think Delba's cut again, so I'm gonna have to remove you, hun, but maybe try and call in next time, okay? But thank you so much. Right. There wasn't really anything else I had to say. You've probably all seen this headline going around of Kate saying talking therapies don't work for everyone. um, it worked for your brother apparently. It worked for your brother apparently. And you know what? Yeah, it's true. Talking therapies doesn't necessarily work for everyone, but it's just the fact that it's coming from her, and after everything that Harry is talking about, it just seems like a bit of a slap in the face. And this what we're seeing right here with Kate and William, this kind of keep calm and carry on. I feel like keep calm and carry on is the biggest gaslight to the United Kingdom. Like the culture that we've created around this whole ethos of keep calm and carry on. Keep calm and carry on even though your government is ripping your NHS to shreds. Keep calm and carry on even though you can't pay your gas bills. Keep calm and carry on even though we've got inflation. Keep calm and carry on even though you are literally dying and breaking up inside. And it's actually just so destructive to your soul. And they, Kate and William, by just carrying on like this and smiling and waving like nothing is going on, this to me makes them the worst mental health advocates ever. Because you know that there are issues going on in this family and in this marriage. And I don't know why they don't see that people would have so much more respect for them if they were just honest. If they were honest, if they were willing to hold themselves accountable, if they were willing to apologize to Meghan. I will never like these people, let me just say that. Even if they did apologize to Meghan, but I would at least have some respect for them if they did show accountability and apologize. And it's just sad that they don't seem to realize that Harry is trying to free them from their gilded cage, but we know that they've got a lot to hide. And with that, I guess I'll try and end on a positive note. Harry's book did break the Guinness World Records for the fastest selling book of all time, and results. Job well done to Harry. He's played the game well. And I'll just end with some of your comments and we'll call it a day. Thank you so much to everyone. Thank you to the callers who came in. Thank you to the mods. You've done an amazing job. There have been so many trolls in this chat today. Like, oh, wow. Some of the comments I saw, I was just like, should I read this out just so we can see how ridiculous the trolls are? But I was like, no, let me not. Let's see. Yes, Miss Talks. They're like a pressure cooker ready to blow up. How am I going to word this? I want to be careful. There are certain things that I would just never talk about on this podcast. Even though we know them to be true, there's something that I saw today regarding Kate that actually terrified me. If it ever really comes to light and it becomes a public discussion, then I'll talk about it. But all I have to say sincerely, because regardless of what they've done to Meghan, I am still human and I still see the humanity in people. I sincerely hope that Catherine can get help, is all I have to say in regards to what I saw today. Because yes, Miss P Talks, it's like a pressure cooker ready to blow up. And when it does blow up, the tabloid press are going to be absolutely brutal. They need help. Yeah, I mean, more than therapy. My God. Raheem, the best part of Harry's book, the PB recovered. Well, obviously, because he's got 2 healthy kids. Elizabeth Arden, what are you doing? You are missing out on an amazing marketing opportunity. Like, this is the greatest marketing opportunity since Beyonce name dropped Red Lobster, and they are wasting time. They need to that Elizabeth Arden cream must be just flying off the shelves. All right. Kellyanne, I'm going to give you the last word of the day. Great session today. Good night. Yes, good night indeed. Hope you all have a wonderful weekend. And there was actually a couple of things that I didn't even go through today. So I might do just like a short half-hour podcast tomorrow. And I will most definitely see you on Sunday when I should have finished part 1 of Spare for my review and rundown. Okay? See you later, my lovelies. Ciao.
Love's for beginners, ain't no winners. It slips through your fingers. I ain't telling no lies. So F all the drama, F the karma. Just do what you wanna. Promise you got time. Be you and keep looking forward. Don't you look backwards and you'll be fine. Come through and say what you need to. Don't let them put you down. Baby, let me tell you what it feels like. Being independent, no trouble inside. It's like magic, living like a bad bitch. 'Cause baby, you deserve the best in life. Let me tell you what it feels like. Being no mama, yeah, to yourself right. It's like magic, living like a bad bitch. 'Cause baby, you deserve the best in life. Come get your future. Know you wanna, she'll never betray ya. She ain't telling no lies. So break the glass ceiling, find your meaning, make truth out of dreaming. Yeah. Baby, let me tell you what it feels like. Being independent, no trouble inside. It's like magic, living like a bad bitch. 'Cause baby, you deserve the best in life. Let me tell you what it feels like. Being no mama, yeah, to yourself right. It's like magic, living like a bad bitch. 'Cause baby, you deserve the best in life. Be you and keep looking forward. Don't you look backwards and you'll be fine. Come through and say what you need to. Don't let them put you down. Baby, let me tell you what it feels like. Being independent, no trouble inside. It's like magic, living like a bad bitch. 'Cause baby, you deserve the best in life. Let me tell you what it feels like. Being no mama, yeah, to yourself right. It's like magic, living like a bad bitch. 'Cause baby,
And we've got some breaking news on that book by Prince Harry, Spare as it's called. It is the UK's fastest selling non-fiction book on record, we are hearing. And it's sold figures of 400,000 copies so far. That's across hardback, ebook, audio formats. On its first day of publication, 400,000 copies have been sold. The Transworld Penguin Random House, the publisher, said, quote, "We always knew this book would fly, but it is exceeding even our most bullish expectations. As far as we know, the only books to have sold more in their first day are those starring the other Harry, i.e. Harry Potter. But according to the latest data we have, it is the fastest UK selling non-fiction book on record." And Harry was paid $20 million for that book, we are told. So the publishers are getting a bit of their money back already.